What discovery in biology, so not in astronomy or some other field, in biology, would make you convinced that life on Earth is the only life in the galaxy? And conversely, what might convince you that no, it must have arisen independently thousands of times in this galaxy?
Oh, I see what you're getting at, right? I mean, so astronomy might be we would detect,
That's right.
Radio signals
Yeah.
or light signals that.
Right.
But biology, the kind of evidence would be that you show in a laboratory using prebiotic conditions
Yeah.
a really simple way to get life.
Yeah.
Right. Or, I mean, it's a harder proof to prove that because we don't know what
Right.
all the possible prebiotic conditions. And probably the number was vast. I mean, you have 10 to the 20th liters of water and, at various different salinities and drying up on the ocean and the sun and the lightning and all this stuff. But yes, I think if you showed kind of reconstructed in the lab a very simple pathway from inorganics, cyanide derivatives and things that reduced compounds, all the way up to some cellular replicating structure, I think that might lead us to believe that at least life exists.
Yeah.
Now, there are other parts of the Drake equation that might kick in, which is maybe it's hard to get intelligent life because intelligence isn't necessarily in your best interest. And if you get intelligent life, it's hard to maintain that without societal collapse or without robotics taking over and then killing themselves, right? And that's hard to do experiments. But I think, to your question, I think an experiment that showed, maybe multiple different ways of getting to a living system from non-living systems spontaneously would be interesting. Again, I'm not sure it'd be very hard to prove the negative.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, between intelligent life and some sort of primordial RNA thing, what is the step at which, if there is any, where you say there's a less than 50% chance something like at this level exists elsewhere in the Milky Way?
Yeah, I think these are very challenging problems. I'm not even sure we would be able to say within 5 orders of magnitude, much less 50%. But I think it's more likely to come from exploration than it is going to be from simulation. The sad truth is that almost none of the missions that we've sent outside of Earth have actually looked for life. They've had components that could have looked for life, but a sad number of those, not enough components that could look for life, and the ones that could look for life, not really looking for it. And when we get positive results, we dismiss them, as happened with the Pioneer. And so I think if we just start looking at the geysers that are coming out of various moons of Jupiter and Saturn, there's so much water. There's 50 times more water, liquid water, not frozen, more liquid water in our solar system than in Earth. Doesn't that seem likely that some of that would have been a good breeding ground? But it could be that we need sunny shores, where you have a lot of dry land and right next to water. Maybe these are just giant oceans that are surrounded by ice, and maybe that's not adequate. But in any case, we need to look at those fountains to see what's popping up. That's a high priority. And the same thing goes, there's a lot of water on Mars that's maybe even more accessible. But until we've exhausted those, I think those are probably the easiest. They're hard. They're still talking about multi-billion-dollar experiments, but I think they're a little more convincing. And again, it'll be hard to prove the negative. If we find it's negative on everything in the solar system, there's so much more diversity out there that that could have done it.
If you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode here and subscribe for more clips. Thanks.